56-yarder. It's got, no, does not have the leg. And Chris
Episode of The Breakdown. We got a lot to cover today, and most importantly, the Super Bowl. We're going to jump right into that. The NFL, this should be a great matchup. Pats, our New England Patriots, they're going up against the defending Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks. This should be a really good matchup.
Yeah, Caleb, we're either going to see our own team winning or a repeat champion. Either way, it's going to be cool. I want to see the Pats win this game, and I really think they can. I think the key to this is they have to stop Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is going to be a lot of trouble for the Patriots. They haven't really played a running back like him this year. Maybe Eddie Lacy, but Eddie Lacy didn't do much against the Pats earlier in the season. I think the key to this game is really just stopping Marshawn Lynch. I think the Pats got to rush 7 as often as they can, as the Seahawks are going to stay on the ground, especially with the receiving core they have, and not a great passer in Russell Wilson, more of a scrambling quarterback in my opinion. But I think the Pats, they have a good chance of winning this game. They got to get Blunt going early and often. They need to establish the run game and make Seattle expect the rush on first and second down so they can use a bit of the play action. Gronk needs to have a huge game. We all know what to expect from Brady in these huge moments. I think he might throw a pick, just as good as that Seattle secondary is, but I don't think that's going to stop him. It feels like every game Brady throws a pick, but he wins most of them, so I'm okay with that. And they need to contain Russell Wilson, most importantly. 4 interceptions in the start of the Green Bay game, but that doesn't matter. When it's crunch time, he gets it done. So especially later in the game, the Patriots need to contain Russell Wilson, and they have a pretty good shot of winning this one.
Yeah, certainly. I think that this is a must-win for the Patriots. When you look at it, it's really an all-or-nothing type game. The Patriots, they are going to be looked at as cheaters and chokers if they aren't able to win this game, and I just think that it would take away from Tom Brady's legacy to be 3-3 in the Super Bowl. That's not really that great of a record. It's amazing he's gotten to the Super Bowl that many times. He's probably the greatest postseason quarterback of all time, but really, I think this game is more important for the Patriots to win. The Seahawks have less to prove. Everyone knows they're a great team. They won the Super Bowl last year. They're trying to hold on and defend the title, but the Patriots are going to do everything they can to stop them from repeating. The last team to repeat as champions was, of course, the New England Patriots, and I think that that will give the Patriots even more incentive to want to win this game and not let Seattle repeat.
Yeah, Caleb, it's going to be tough, especially seeing that Russell Wilson is 10-0 against Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in his career, and that's pretty good. He's never lost against someone like Brady or an Aaron Rodgers, whoever he's playing. He's going up against Brady this weekend, as you well know, and I think the Pats are going to do it. They lost the last 2 Super Bowls, 2008 and 2012, both against the Giants, off pretty much luck from Eli Manning, which, well, we won't get into that. It makes Caleb and I a little bit too upset. But I don't see the Patriots, Belichick and Brady, losing 3 Super Bowls in a row. I don't think they can do it, especially after winning 3 straight. I think this year's the year they get it done. I think their defense is too good this time around, especially with Darrell and Browner on the corners. I think they're going to be able to get it done. I'm going to go with the final score of this one, 23-20. It's going to be a close one. I think that the Pats are going to pull it out with a win just by a field goal. I think there's going to be a lot of field goals in this game, as well as the Seahawks. They showed last week against Aaron Rodgers that they have one of the, if not the best, red zone defense in the league, keeping Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks, having him to, he had the used field goals, 5 field goals against the Seahawks last week, and I think that's going to be the same thing this week with the Pats going up against the Seahawks.
I think it's going to be a much higher scoring game. You know, a lot of people are focused on the defense, but I just think that the Patriots, they're going to have their way on offense, and they might have a little bit of a struggle stopping that run game and Russell Wilson scrambling in the first half. I think that the Patriots are really going to buckle down in the second half, maybe even get a comeback win, but I'm predicting the Patriots over the Seahawks 34-31.
It's certainly going to be a good game, and I'm excited to see this matchup. I mean, we were talking about the Patriots-Green Bay matchup if that were to happen, and I think this is the better one. In order to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's exactly what the Patriots have to do this weekend. I think it's going to be a great game, and I got to ask you, who are your players to watch this week?
You know, my player to watch from the offense of both sides, I'm going to start off with the Patriots. I think Rob Gronkowski, he's going to be the most important piece to this Patriots offense. I think that he's going to be seeing a lot of different coverages, and he has to adjust and really be the main point of the Patriots offense. He needs to get those key first downs and really keep this offense going. And for offense on the Seahawks side of the ball, I have to go with Russell Wilson. I just think that he is the most important player on that team. He's going to find a way to get it done, and I think that as the game goes on, the Patriots really need to contain him, and there's going to be a couple runs where Russell Wilson scrambles for a first down, and I'm probably going to be pulling my hair out on the couch, but you know that happens when you play a quarterback such as Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. My players to watch this week is actually the Legion of Boom secondary from the Seattle Seahawks. Both those corners and the safeties. I think they need to have a huge game stopping one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Tom Brady's going to come to that game. He's great in the postseason, like you said earlier, and they really need to stop Tom Brady if they want to have success in this game. And they got a great secondary. They got all the tools they need to stop Brady. But let's see if they can do it at all. Anything can happen in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, it certainly can, and it should be fun to watch. Brandon Browner, who had some pretty harsh words to say about his teammates. He did say how much he loved his teammates and all that, but he said that he wanted to go after them and go after their injured shoulder or go after their injured elbow. A lot of people took that in offensively, but I think that it's just showing how good of a competitor he is and how much he wants to win. And I'm sure that Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman know that just as well as Browner does. So it should be a really interesting matchup. I think this is going to be a great overall game. And looking at one thing, it's kind of hard to tell, but what team do you think has the upper hand on the defensive and offensive side of the ball?
It's tough. I'd have to say that the Patriots have the better side on offense, but they do have a great defense. I think if I had to pick one of those teams that have the better on both, I'd have to go with the Pats, just because Seahawks offense can be a little sporadic here and there, but it seems like the Pats are always there. Defense, definitely got to go with Seattle. They got a better defense, but Pats, I still think, got a better offense.
Yeah, numbers certainly don't lie. Seattle has had the best defense over the past 2 years. They've been absolutely incredible, and especially having their defense healthy. But there's a little bit of a question if they are going to have a healthy defense. Earl Thomas, he played in that game with a separated shoulder, and Richard Sherman had an injury to his elbow, and I'm not exactly sure how bad those injuries are or if they're going to be able to play at 100%, but we'll find out come game day.
Yeah, certainly, and all those players definitely are playing. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. Everyone wants to be there, no matter if you're on one leg or what's going on with you. All the players want to be there. Real quick, who's your prediction for the Super Bowl MVP?
You know, I think that Tom Brady's going to get the Super Bowl MVP. I just think that it's his time. He's going to win, and the most important player that's usually focused on is Tom Brady. He's just such a great quarterback, has such a great mind for the game, and I think that he's going to lead his team to victory and get Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, and I got to think that if Seattle wins, got to pick Marshawn Lynch. I mean, I know he's just there not to get fined, but Marshawn Lynch, I think he could win it if Seattle wins the whole thing, but I agree with you. I think the Pats are going to win. I think Tom Brady's going to be the Super Bowl MVP.
You know, I actually don't think that Marshawn Lynch would get the MVP no matter how good he played, just because the NFL does not like Marshawn Lynch whatsoever. Marshawn Lynch nearing $200,000 worth of fines that he's had to pay this year, and he just can't catch a break. So I feel bad for Marshawn Lynch. Now, moving on to a different topic, the NBA. It's been a great year this year, and we know how tough that West Coast is. And my favorite team from the West, the Portland Trail Blazers, they got a major injury to LaMarcus Aldridge. How do you think this is going to affect the team?
Well, I was researching it up a little bit this week, and it turns out LaMarcus Aldridge is going to play through this and not have surgery on his thumb. He's opting out of the surgery, maybe to have it after the season ends or something. But that's good for LaMarcus Aldridge. It's a high risk, high reward situation, I feel, for the Blazers, because I'm not sure the specifics of his injury, but I don't know if he's putting it in any more harm than he is now. But LaMarcus Aldridge, if he decided to take the surgery, the Trailblazers aren't the same team. They can't be a serious contender unless they have LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he knows that, and I think the organization knows that, and that's why he's trying to stay and trying to fight through that injury. But I'm not sure if he's even going to be the same player with that injury. He's averaging 23.3 points per game with 10.2 rebounds per game. It's a double-double through the first half of the season. You can't have a player with those kind of numbers being out and expect to be the same team. LaMarcus Aldridge needs to be there, and if for some reason later in the season he has to go out because of that surgery, I don't see them getting anywhere close to the NBA championship this year.
Yeah, that's exactly why I think he needs to have the surgery right away, because if he's not 100% in the playoffs, I don't think that Portland is going to have a good chance of making it far in that really tough Western Conference. I think that Aldridge really needs to have this surgery as soon as possible. I think that Portland is in a good spot right now, number 2 in all the West, and if they can just hold on, if Damian Lillard steps up, they're going to be able to win a couple games here and there. Yeah, their record isn't going to be as great, but in the long run, I don't think that matters half as much as it will having your best player, arguably your best player, 100% in the postseason where games truly matter.
I'm not sure about the recovery time for the surgery, but you got to think that in the Western Conference being what it is, the Blazers can't afford to lose that many games. I think with LaMarcus Aldridge being out, say he comes back in March or something right before the playoffs start, Trailblazers might not even make it in the playoffs if LaMarcus Aldridge wasn't there. You see it with Oklahoma City. They're right now just starting to come back in it, but they didn't have Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook in the first month of the season, and they were hit so far back in the Western Conference standings, and that couldn't happen to the Trailblazers if LaMarcus Aldridge decided to sit out. I think it was a good choice for him to stay in. I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not sure the specifics on the injury, if he could re-injure himself or it could be worse coming the longer he plays with it. But me and you were both on the same page with this. It looks like this. The Trailblazers aren't the Trailblazers without LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, I can't agree more on that aspect of it. LaMarcus Aldridge is just such a great player. He really has one of the most unique shots in the game. Seems like he can hit it over anyone. He has that low post moves for days, and he's just a great player all around, averaging a double-double, and that's really impressive. One of only 5 players, I believe, this season averaging a double-double, so that's really great for him. Now, moving on to a subject that might be a little touchy for you, Cole. Your Kevin Durant did not make the All-Star team. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I'm pretty upset. The reserves are officially announced tomorrow, but he's not high enough in the rankings or most fan votes to make the reserve cut, and I disagree with it completely. I'm not sure how the reigning MVP can't make the All-Star team the next year. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I know he had his injury, and that's the reason why he's not going to be on the team. I think he should be starting. I mean, 25 points per game this year, almost 7 boards and 4 assists, and we all know how Kevin Durant can play. He's one of the best scorers of all time. Like I said, he's the MVP last year, 4-time scoring champion. He's been an all-star almost every single year aside from his rookie year, and that's I don't know how I can watch an all-star game without Kevin Durant, but he needs to be in that all-star game. What really upsets me is the last time they played horse for all-star weekend, Kevin Durant was the undeclared or the champion of horse, I guess, in the NBA, and now they have it this year, and he's not even in it. I don't know. He's a champion of horse. He can't defend his title. I don't know.
I know. I really just think this is ridiculous. I don't know how exactly what you said, how the MVP isn't the all-star the next year when he's having games that are just as good. He's playing really well, and I just think that KD deserves it almost more than anyone. Steph Curry got the most votes by a long shot, but Kevin Durant, he's just such a great player. I don't know how he isn't an all-star, and I think that it's ridiculous that the fans are still voting. I think that it should be a decision that the coaches vote for the all-stars instead of fans, because really it's just a popularity contest. It's not who the best players in the NBA actually are, and I think that the system should be changed.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's more like a lifetime achievement award, because you see Kobe Bryant is the starter now, or he's injured, so he can't be the starter, but he was the starter for the Western Conference shooting guard. And Kobe Bryant's not having nearly the season, Klay Thompson or James Harden or one of those. He's not having even close to the season, but Kobe Bryant's Kobe Bryant, and he has all his fans and everyone in Laker country. They all love him. And I agree. I think he should be an all-star too, but the whole system, you never see guys like Mike Conley. I think he should be an all-star. Players like that don't get the recognition that the Steph Currys and the LeBron James do. I think it should be up to the coaches or maybe the players, I don't know, but it should be within the league, people who know what they're doing instead of just a popularity vote like you were saying. And I agree. I don't like the system, because Kevin Durant, he needs to be an all-star. He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen. Not just saying that from being an OKC fan, but I think you got to pick him. Russell Westbrook, he's an all-star this year, and I think he deserves to be, but I also think his teammate Kevin Durant needs to be too. Yeah,
definitely, and I agree with you on the Kobe aspect. But he's had his time. Kobe, no disrespect to Kobe, he is one of the greatest of all time. Everyone knows that. But he has had his time. He's been an all-star 12, 13 times now, something ridiculous like that. And I don't really think that another all-star game would really mean that much to Kobe Bryant. I think some of the more up-and-coming shooting guards and some other people would love to play in an all-star game. And I think that it needs to be changed, the voting system. And really, I think that James Harden, the year he's been having, how is he not starting for the Western Conference All-Stars? I just don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. But one thing I am looking forward to, though, is the three-point contest with the Splash Brothers both in it. That's gonna be something to watch. Not a huge three-point fan, I like seeing the dunk competition, but you got Kyle Korver, the Splash Brothers, Bradley Beal. It's gonna be a good year. Damian Lillard's in it too. It's gonna be a good year for All-Star Weekend. Now on looking at the halfway point of this year, Caleb, what teams have impressed you the most so far?
The team that has impressed me the most has got to be the Atlanta Hawks. I didn't have that high expectations for them coming into the season, and they have the best record in the East. They're playing really well. They're playing team basketball. They're just a great team, and I think that they could make a run in the playoffs. I know that you don't really agree. You think they need a superstar, but I think that they have 5 players that can just come together as a team, and they don't really need that one superstar. I just really like this team. They're a great ball team, and I think they're going to have a great season.
I just don't know who you're going to give it to if you're the Atlanta Hawks. I used this earlier on one of our past shows. Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals come down to the last shot. Who are you going to give the ball to if you're the Atlanta Hawks? You give it to Kyle Korver, probably your best shooter. Jeff Teague, in my opinion, one of the best players. You give it to the big man down low. I'm not sure. That's why I think they need an all-star. But the team that has impressed me the most this year is one of the best-kept secrets in the NBA this year, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 23-22, 6 in the East, and granted, the East is not a very great conference, but they're doing a great job. Brandon Knight is having a spectacular year. Giannis Antetokounmpo, I hope I pronounced that right. The Greek Freak is also playing very well. Jabari Parker is out, but they're still holding on. Everyone expected Jabari Parker to kind of carry that team, and he did that a little bit earlier, but now he's out for the rest of the season, so what are they going to do? And they still managed to get the job done. Jason Kidd is doing a great job. I never thought Jason Kidd was a great coach in Brooklyn, and I thought when he was going to come to Milwaukee, they'd just make him worse, but he's doing the exact opposite. He's doing great in Milwaukee, and the Milwaukee Bucks might make the playoffs, all right? So Jason Kidd's doing a good job. That team has got a bunch of nobodies on it, and they're making the playoffs, and I think they're one of the best, or not the best teams in the NBA, but they've definitely impressed me the most.
Yeah, they are a pretty impressive team. Also, you have to look at the Wizards. I knew they were going to be a good team, but they're number 2 in the East right now. They are doing great. I think that they just have a great group of people. They have a lot of younger players too, which is good for that team. And also, I think the addition of one of the best Celtics of all time, Paul Pierce, to the Wizards, that was a great move for them. He really provides some leadership for that team, and he's really stepped up in some clutch situations for them. And he's not the only player that can do that. John Wall and Bradley Beal also like that spotlight, and I think that really will help him out in the playoffs. I think the Wizards have impressed me alongside Golden State. They've just been having such a great year, but the team that has impressed me the most of any team in the NBA is the Knicks. How can they be that terrible? That's how they've impressed me, how bad they are, and I really hope the Knicks can turn something around, because I know a couple Knicks fans, and right now they're sad to say that they're Knicks fans.
Yeah, Caleb, and hopefully they're aiming for Jahlil Okafor, getting him in the draft. We'll talk about him a little bit later on the show, but now getting to college basketball, Kentucky 18-0 on the year, and they're pretty good. And the question is, can Kentucky remain undefeated this year, excluding the March Madness tournament, because anything can happen there. So for the rest of the regular season, Caleb, and I'd include the SEC championship games, all that in this. You think Kentucky can go undefeated?
Yeah, I certainly think they can. They proved that they're the best team in college basketball. Even when they're shooting terrible, Cole, they can still beat teams by 20, 30 points just because their defense is that good. They're a team that's coached by John Calipari. They're really great, solid all around. They know what they're doing, and they have players that are returning, which is pretty crazy for Kentucky. Some second-year players that have already gotten a bunch of experience in the tournament and in the regular season. I think that they're going to be able to go undefeated. We saw Wichita State do that last year, but helping them out is being in the SEC, and I don't think that's that tough of a conference. If they were in the Big 12 or the ACC, I would say they would definitely get defeated at some point because you have a much tougher schedule, but I think Kentucky's going to be able to go undefeated. Don't think they'll win it all in the tournament and go undefeated throughout the entire year, but I believe they can go undefeated excluding the tournament.
Yeah, Caleb, I agree. I think they can do it. I mean, you don't see a lot of teams losing in the national championship and bouncing back as well as Kentucky has this year, 18-0. I mean, like you said, they do play in the SEC, which is a pretty easy conference in both our opinions, it seems like. And looking at their schedule, the hardest team they have left is LSU at 15-4, and I don't think LSU stands a chance against Kentucky. The platoon system, it's working fantastic for Coach Calipari, and they have 9 All-Americans on the team. The Harrison twins, they're doing a great job. They're number 2 in defense in points allowed, and they're number 1 in blocks. You've all seen how they can go on blocking rampages. And I agree. I think they're the best team in college basketball this year. I agree with you. It's going to be kind of tough to win the national championship. We've all seen anything. The worst team in the tournament can go up to the Sweet 16. Anything can happen. I don't think they're going to be able to win the national championship, but I think they're going to go undefeated and win the SEC championship. They're a great rebounding team, and in college basketball, you need to be a great rebounding team if you want to be successful. Like you said, they got a lot of returning players, and I think they're going to go undefeated this year, and that's going to be something to see. I mean, we saw Wichita State do it last year, but they play in an even easier conference than Kentucky does, and that'd be something to see a big-name team like this go undefeated throughout the year. It's going to be good.
Yeah, certainly. They don't have too many tough games remaining. I think they'll be able to get it done, but it should be really interesting to see if they can go against both of our words and go undefeated in the tournament. I don't think it's going to happen, but You never know. Absolutely anything can happen in this tournament. And just talking about college basketball, it gets me excited to fill out my March Madness bracket.
Yeah, Caleb, we'll definitely have a March Madness bracket on the show this year. And one of the teams we should see on that bracket is Duke, Jahlil Okafor this year. He's best freshman in the country. I'd say probably the best player in the country. And the question is whether or not you think he can go number 1 overall in the draft. What do you think?
I definitely do. I think that he is such a great player. He is just one of the quickest big men I've ever seen. When he catches the ball in the low post, he turns around so fast and already knows exactly what he's doing with the ball. He knows if he's going to turn inside, go outside, hit a floater over his defender. He's just got incredible hands. He's just a great all-around player, and no doubt in my mind, barring injury, he should definitely go number 1 in the draft.
Yeah, Caleb, certainly. He's had 8 consecutive weeks since the season started as AP Freshman of the Week, which is ridiculous. No one else has won it this year besides him. I agree with you. I've never seen a big man so quick, so smooth in the post. If someone's guarding him 1v1, he's going to get the ball in the hole every single time, and if they double team him, he'll pass it out to the open shooter. It's exactly what you want in a big man. He has 18.5 points per game this year, 9 rebounds, and shooting 67% from the field, which is very good. He's a big man. You got to keep that in mind, but that's 67% from the field. You don't get many more players efficient than that. He's got I think he sort of reminds me of Patrick Ewing type. He had a lot of hype in college, and obviously he was going to be the number 1 pick overall. And I think exactly like Patrick Ewing, he's going to go to the New York Knicks. I might be crazy saying that, but I think this is the NBA. They might rig it somehow. There was a lot of skepticism when Patrick Ewing went to the Knicks that the NBA rigged it in some way just so they get New York back on the map. But I think he's going to go to the Knicks. He's a franchise changer for a lot of these teams, and he can really change a franchise. And I think that he's going to come out and he's going to go number 1 overall, I think, no doubt. But I think he might end up on the Knicks, and I'd like to see that, him and Carmelo, him in the big spotlight in Madison Square Garden. But he's a fantastic player, and yeah, this question, no doubt he's going number 1 overall.
Yeah, no doubt for me either, and I would really like to see where he ends up in the NBA. Hopefully he can come to Boston and be a member of the Celtics. They have a chance, in the draft, but not likely. But really hope that we can get a high caliber player in this upcoming draft. It's a great draft this year, and I'm excited to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, Caleb, I think like I said, he's a franchise changer. Whatever team ends up getting him, they could make the playoffs the next year. He's that good of a player, and I'm very excited to see what team he ends up on and how he does in the NBA.
Yeah, certainly. That is all the time we have today. For Cole Tremblay, I'm Caleb Lovering. Make sure you tune into the breakdown Wednesday nights at 7.
Also, oh, shit.